Let me pull up our So again, our test is going to be on Monday. But always, I hate Monday tests. I hated them as a student. I hate them as a teacher, except at the same time, sometimes they just kind of have to happen just because waiting another day isn't a great use of our time. But and I don't think we need another day to review all this. But always bring questions, especially the day of a test. If you walk in and you say, let's go through these 5 questions, I really don't mind. You guys know that our tests never take the whole period. So I can always review with you guys for a few minutes before we start. Even if it goes 30 minutes, we typically still have enough time, especially for this test, because it's not a very long one. Because of the fact that we're only doing 4 sections. So it's all of our exponent rows and then scientific notation. So so our test is on Monday. And I would highly suggest you guys studying the blue chart. So the blue chart will be a great tool for you guys to kind of look over. So it's 8-1, 8-2, 8-3 that we did all of our different exponent rows. So in 8-1, that's where we multiplied with our same bases. We add the exponents, and then we also did power to a power in that one, I believe. So now, again, we talked about these as monomials. You don't have to know they're monomials. The main thing is that they're one term. So we add those exponents, but we don't want to forget that we multiply the coefficients. So kind of just being comfortable with that. We also did power to a power in this section. And I'm not going to explain all that again because we just wrote all that on our chart. So in this problem,
what's up, AJ?
Hang on, AJ, one second. Just gonna mute you here for a second. Miss Miller. So, if you guys took a minute to do this one, you would do -4 times 5. Don't forget coefficients, like if you didn't get anything into your mind, coefficients, treat those like normal numbers. So -4 times 5 is a -20. And then x to the 3rd, x to the 6th, we add those exponents, so it's going to be x to the 9th. So just being careful with those as you guys go. So in 8-2 is where we got into dividing with our monomials. So here's where we subtract the exponents. But again, coefficients, treat those like normal numbers. Now on this whole front side, we don't want any decimals. I think on the test I'll write that, like it'll say no decimals where I want no decimals, because then with scientific notation, decimals are okay. So I know that gets kind of confusing. So in this case, I wouldn't want a decimal here. -2 over 8, what does that become? -1 over 4, yeah, you just simplify that. -2 out of 8 is just a -1/4 or -1/4. And then here's where I'm talking about the subtraction of exponents, but I really like thinking of it more as where are there more, how many more are there? So the x's, where are there more? Bottom, how many more? 4, good work. And then the Y's, top, there's 3 of them. So if you guys kind of follow that rule where you just talk your way through that, I mean, even if I'm telling you I want you to have like my voice in your head, whatever it happens to be, like I repeat myself so that maybe it gets like stuck in your memory. So not to be annoying and repeat myself, but you know, sometimes that helps. So then we got into 0 exponents and negative exponents. So this one's just going to equal 1. That's straightforward. This one we'd move to the bottom and make it positive. That last one, the kind of power to a power, we kind of talked about that up there. We'd multiply that. We'd multiply those exponents together. So kind of just trying to remember those different rules. If you need to quiz yourself, make flashcards, whatever it does to get you guys to remember the rules here.
How many questions are on the test?
About 50?
We always laugh as teachers when people ask that question, because I don't really know how that helps, but it's about, because I have to take some off because of the no graphing. I think like 17 or 18.
Oh, that's really cool. All right.
But it's like less points, like it's under 50 points. Our last couple tests have been 50 points. It's a little bit under that, not a ton under that, but these problems are fast. It's not like you're, you know, doing a system of equations where you have to graph 2 lines. I mean, it doesn't take you a ton. I don't know. It shouldn't be a long test. I try to give kind of one of each kind. It just happens to be that there's more kinds of these. So,
Yes.
now, in terms of exponent rules, is this -3 okay where it is? Yep. So leave -3. How about the n to the -2? Needs to move. So that's going to go on the bottom. What happens with n to the 0?
Stays there.
Cancels. So it's gone. You can put a 1 if you want. You don't need to. So anything of the n to the 0 or anything to the 0 power, remember that equals 1. So you can just kind of cross that out. If you want to write times 1, that's perfectly fine. You just can't leave the n to the 0. My directions on the test, I think, will say I don't want negative or 0 exponents. So we want to make sure we get rid of all those. So this next one, I'm going to distribute the -2 power in. This one's a little bit more confusing. So that 5 is going to get the -2 power. And for whatever reason, this is kind of a confusing idea. So like, make sure you follow along with me on that. X to what power?
1.
No.
Oh,
6.
6.
Positive 6. Yeah, we multiply. I know, and that's why we review this stuff. It's definitely confusing. Now, the x to the 6 is okay, right? How about that 5 to the -2? What do you- It's not -25, and that's a really common mistake with it. Think about a negative exponent. How do we change that negative exponent? We're going to move it. So right now it's on the top. In order to make it positive, we're going to put it on the bottom. Right? And then this is going to be x to the 6 is going to stay on top. But 5 to the 2nd, I can simplify. What is that? 25. Now, if you guys doubt this, if you're like, wait, I don't, that's kind of like throwing me, check 5 to the -2 in your calculator. If you put that into your calculator, it's going to give you a crazy decimal or like a fraction. Like, so Kylie, yours will give you a fraction, so that maybe will be helpful. So if you put 5 to the -2 in your calculator,
It gives me this.
it gave you, so yours tells you 1/25. It's telling you to put in the denominator. Some of you guys got decimals, right?
It says 1/25.
Oh, it did? Oh, that was nice of it. I thought a lot of them give decimals. that reminds you, oh, I have to get that in the denominator. That's where those decimals come from. So check things with your calculator, but don't completely rely on it, just in terms of there's operator error that can happen with a calculator. All right, let's do this kind of, we went like easy, medium, and then like granddaddy here. So, first fraction, nothing changes, right? Nothing happens there yet. The second fraction, well, maybe, I don't know, do you guys want to move those negative exponents now that I say that?
Yeah.
Should we move those? Okay, so negative 3 is okay, just like it was over there. The c to the second will come out. The a to the second will move down. So make them all positive. Now this third power's got to go in to everything there. So they're all getting that third power. Remember, power to a power, you multiply. Okay. At this point, I have some simplifying I can do. And don't let these two fractions bug you. Remember, I said it's really just like big multiplication. So 2 to the third power is really, what's that? There we go. And again, always, I mean, if something like that, you're afraid you'll make that mistake, double check in your calculator, perfectly fine. So it's going to be negative 3 times 8, which we'll put together here in a second. All right. Do you want to move this one up? So this is going to be c to the second, c to the ninth. I'm just going to leave it the way it is right now, and then we'll just combine everything. There's a lot. So all I did was move that c to the negative 9 up, and now I have a bunch of stuff to put together. So negative 3 times 8 is a negative 24. I have c to the 11, b to the 7, and then the a's, well, it's just an a on top, or a to the first. So there's no longer a bottom of this fraction. If you want there to be, you can always put it over 1. All right, and then if you guys want to flip your page over, we'll talk quickly about scientific notation. And I kind of just put the two like tougher scientific notation problems on here. We will do a little bit, not many, with like moving things from scientific notation to standard. So, our scientific notation here. So we do 1.2 times 9. So we get 10.8 for that. Oh, get rid of this negative 2 out here. Sorry. Ignore that. Sorry, that really is throwing you off. I won't put anything on that like that. We didn't talk about powers and powers, so that's fine. All right. So now we're going to add those exponents. So 10 to the negative 4. Now the issue is 10 is a little high. We want to be a one-digit number. So we're going to make this smaller by 1. So if I move that decimal over 1 time, I have to move the exponent up 1. So if I make that one smaller, the other one's got to get bigger. But remember, negative numbers, when it gets bigger,
It goes to a smaller negative.
yeah, so that's confusing. So make sure you guys are careful about that. So this will be 10 to the negative 3. And now, just to kind of, like, just, they didn't ask you to do this here. Remember, 10 to the negative 3, if I had this value, If I wanted to change that to a standard notation, I'd have to move it over 3 times, smaller. So this would be a very small number. Now I didn't ask you to do that here, so you don't have to. If it says to leave it in scientific notation, do that, but just to kind of review that a little bit. Oh, sorry, he jumped on and I muted him. I was like, hi, AJ, I'm going to mute you. So.
You're supposed to use chat during.
Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. So I divide these two and I get 0.3. Now, again, with these, if it's confusing to subtract those, you can flip them. So 2 minus 7 is a negative 5, or end up in the denominator, but we don't want that here. So this is going to be a negative 5 when I subtract those. But this one's too small. 30 cents is not enough. So we need to make it bigger. So that means this one is going to get smaller. And smaller is going to be a negative 6. Okay? All right, guys, so homework is listed there for you guys. It is all this time, so I know sometimes it's confusing to switch over. I still don't think it's that many questions. It looks worse than it is because it's like little groups of problems. Again, ignore the graphs. So that's reviewing for the test. If you guys need more practice, feel free to pop in for AR. What's that?
Pop in if I'm already in.
Well, yeah, you can leave then. Okay.